A massive cyber attack that has shut down a major U.S. pipeline is exposing a hole in our infrastructure security as a country. The FBI says a group called DarkSide, believed to be operated by a Russian cybercrime gang, is responsible for compromising the Colonial Pipeline, which stretches more than 5,500 miles and supplies roughly 45% of the East Coast fuel supply. Today, President Biden is using the attack as another reason to push for his proposed $2.3 trillion spending on infrastructure and jobs, as his focus turns this week to making a deal with an impossible GOP that's far more focused on opposition to President Biden, the Democratic agenda, and any sensible anti-Trump rhetoric.
We have efforts underway with the FBI and DOJ, Department of Justice, to disrupt and prosecute ransomware criminals. In addition to companies stepping up, we need to invest to safeguard our critical infrastructure. That's one of the many things My American Jobs Plan is designed to do.
Joining our conversation is Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg. Mr. Secretary, I wonder if you can tell us how the proposed infrastructure bill would have protected this pipeline from a cyber attack, and whether that is central to all those things that I know some of your conservatives make fun of, things that aren't actually tangible roads and bridges.
Right. I mean, this is one more reminder that infrastructure in the U.S. means a lot more than roads and bridges, although I would remind everybody that the American Jobs Plan has a huge amount of resources to improve roads and bridges in this country, among many other things. Look, the truth is that having excellent modern infrastructure has always been a national security issue. And we are less safe and secure anytime that we allow our infrastructure to degrade or to be behind the times. That's true when we think about roads and bridges. Obviously, it's a safety issue if they're not in good shape. But it's also true as we're confronting threats of the future, ranging from climate security to cybersecurity. It's one of the reasons why there is such a robust amount of funding for resilience built into the president's American Jobs Plan, and awareness that we need to be preparing and building for the future. It's also why there's a lot on R&D and innovation. The truth is that we need to spend and invest for national security reasons on making sure that we have the greatest and best technology. Remember, the internet itself was invented through a federal program that was connected to the Department of Defense out of an understanding that part of what makes America secure is being a step ahead of the rest of the world when it comes to technology and innovation. We should be doing the same thing for the generation that's now in charge and the generation to come, and that's all part of the jobs plan.
And I'm guessing that what you just said about some of the national security rationales for pieces of the infrastructure plan is in part designed to appeal to Republicans. I know the president is meeting with Kevin McCarthy this week. You've been engaged with Republicans. Kevin McCarthy has a busy day Wednesday. It's the day he plans to oust Liz Cheney for not repeating the big lie about the election. Do you think it's a good use of your time and the president's to deal with the Republicans on this?
Well, look, we hope to earn every vote that we possibly can for this. And the president is serious about wanting a bipartisan approach and a negotiated approach. Now, he's also said that doing nothing is not an option. We've got to move forward here. But to the extent that there is goodwill, we've certainly seen a specific proposal put on the table by Senate Republicans and are responding and engaging with that. If we can come to an agreement on at least part of what we ought to do, then let's at least try to do that part together. We believe all of these things fit into one cohesive whole. But this negotiation is about seeing how much we can find some kind of common ground. I would like to believe that if there's any area of domestic policy left that we can find common ground on, it is infrastructure. And these national security considerations, alongside the job considerations, are things that I believe should motivate conservatives, liberals, and everybody in between. We are seeing a lot of bipartisan interest and support for this project, this bill, among the American people. As often happens, that's not always reflected here in Washington, but we're going to keep pushing.
Friday, when the jobs report came out, the news was instantly weaponized by Republicans. I know that it was also sort of a proof point for all of you that there's so much work left to do. The infrastructure package is central to that. What is sort of the view about the jobs numbers and where we're heading?
Well, what it shows us is that we have a steep climb ahead. And by the way, on Thursday night, if we had gotten the question, why do a jobs plan now when the jobs numbers have been so encouraging, we were saying the same thing, that there's a steep climb ahead. Look, the rate of job growth since this president took office is extraordinary. 500,000 jobs on average. I think that's 8 or 9 times the pace that he inherited. And it's historic. But we still have got about 8 million to go just to recover the ground that we lost as a consequence of the pandemic. I guess the way I would add it all up is this sounds like a great time for an American jobs plan that will not only respond to the concerns of the moment, and let's be clear, this is not a short-term stimulus plan. It will respond to the concerns of the moment as the rescue plan is doing and prepare us for years and even decades to come.
What is your sense of this Republican Party this week? As we said, they're preparing to purge one of their leadership members for not repeating the big lie. I hope that what's happening behind the scenes is more encouraging to you all on the infrastructure bill than what's public. But Mitch McConnell has said his reason for being is to obstruct the Biden agenda. What do you guys make of today's Republican Party?
Well, I think they have some decisions to make about what to focus on. And obviously, not my job to tell them what to do. But to the extent that members of Congress, Republican and Democrat, they all come from somewhere. And I know that as they return to Washington for the sessions in the House and Senate this week, they're all coming from a home district that is full of roads and bridges and areas that need broadband and places where there are lead pipes that need to be improved and places where the airport they flew from to get here to Washington today is not keeping pace with the best airports in the world, and so many other things going on that need attention. So our hope is that they will focus on what the American people want us to focus on, which is fixing problems and getting stuff done. And I will say, for all of the headline grabbing palace intrigue that goes on in Washington, we're having conversations every day with members on both sides of the aisle who talk about their sincere interest and desire and sense of urgency to get things done. We are hoping that can be mobilized into bipartisan progress on what is a bipartisan priority, both in terms of the stated views and priorities of elected officials who are here in Washington today, and definitely a bipartisan priority out among the American people.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.